So have you seen the new Superman yet? Okay, if so, have you been wondering how the smartest mind in Metropolis also became its most dangerous? Well, today we're diving into the psychology behind this complicated character. Now, before we get started, just a quick reminder, this is a fictional analysis, okay? Ready? Let's go. So why does a billionaire genius risk everything just to prove that Superman isn't special? And what does this say about the dark corners of our own minds and headlines? To better understand this, let's break down a few of Lex Luthor's core beliefs. We'll talk about Hoult's Lex Luthor's I earned everything narrative, how his character clearly believes that he was completely self-made. We'll cover his control equates to safety thinking, the lesson that he appears to have internalized from his chaotic past. And we'll also talk about how he went from thinking that if I can't be humanity's savior, I'll become its god. Essentially, ego fusion at its peak, how status and identity become indistinguishable to him. Allow me to explain these in a little more depth. First, let's talk about his self-made delusion. Lex Luthor clearly needs to believe, and everyone else to believe, that he is a self-made man. Partly to silence a fear that he's ordinary, and yes, he inherited Luthor Corp, but also because humans have an innate drive for competence, one of the three basic psychological needs according to self-determination theory, alongside autonomy and relatedness. When that need feels threatened, people compensate. Lex overcompensates. To him, feeling inferior is so unacceptable that he just rewrites history, that he built himself, his empire, from nothing. Any reminder of luck or of a farm boy alien dwarfing his brilliance immediately rips that scab off of his hidden insecurity. Instead of learning, Lex doubles down. He seems to be pursuing this narrative that if he topples Superman, everyone will finally see that he deserves the pedestal. Okay, next let's talk about the control equals safety belief. Lex's childhood across multiple canons is essentially a dissertation in chaos. We have parents lost to accidents, futures won and then wiped out, reputations completely torched overnight. So underneath that bravado sits a really anxious brain that has equated uncertainty with certain doom. From a psychological perspective, Lex is locked into what we call intolerance of uncertainty, the prediction that if I'm not in charge, catastrophe is imminent. To soothe that anxiety, he overcorrects through relentless domination, funding political campaigns, funding private armies, and even tearing a hole in the universe. The tragedy of this situation is that trying to micromanage the world only amplifies his vigilance and his failures, making his problems get bigger and louder, not the other way around. Okay, third, let's talk about his savior or god ego fusion. If competence is what protects Lex's pride, then significance is what protects his very own identity. In psychodynamic terms, he's essentially fused his ego with a singular storyline, that I alone will elevate humanity. Enter Superman. Walking, flying proof, that role has already been cast. And then rather than share the pedestal, Lex rebrands himself as the true seer of Superman's nature, who will tear down the false idol and save humanity from alien domination. This is what we call a fatal fusion with ego narrative, where values like innovation or stewardship just get hijacked by this hedonic status quest. The more he chases godhood and domination, the further he drifts from genuine relatedness, which is the third need according to self-determination theory, and his emptiness just deepens. Now, put them all together. Self-made pride, control as safety thinking, and savior or god ego fusion, and you basically create a self-reinforcing loop. And then leave this loop unchecked, and essentially you've got the perfect recipe for a bald billionaire bent on toppling a Kryptonian. And of course, there is some dark Triad energy here, which allows Lex Luthor to think that he can outthink risk and just skip over remorse. We have the old grandiose narcissism demonstrated by Lex's constant need for admiration and boastfulness. There's Machiavellianism, demonstrated through Luthor's strategic manipulation of entire countries. And of course, Factor 1 psychopathy, displayed as callousness, impulsivity, and a lack of remorse. So one reason that I believe films like this, and especially characters like this, are so important is that they essentially provide us with metaphors for what to look out for in others and in ourselves. It helps us recognize that unchecked envy can mutate into sabotage. So work on comparing yourself to yesterday's you, not someone else's. It reminds us that control as anxiety management backfires. The tighter you grip, the more options and people will slip away. And of course, that ego fusion blinds us from our values. When who am I becomes equivalent to what do others think of me. You'll burn bridges just to keep that spotlight. I hope this video gave you some deeper insights about Lex Luthor, the world, and yourself. And I really enjoyed this film, obviously, so if you haven't gone to see it, go see it. And hey, comment below which of Lex's traits reminds you of somebody you're dealing with in your life. And if unpacking villain psychology helps you build real-life resilience, then hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone else who might appreciate this level of nerdery. I'm Dr. Charles. As always, stay safe out there, and we'll see you at the next check-in.